Things are steaming up at one spot in the D that is rich with history dating back nearly a century.
And when we say steam, we mean it. Photojournalist Alex Atwell is taking us to the hot, uniquely Detroit place to chill out.
There's nothing more unique than this in the city of Detroit. The Schwitz is Yiddish for sweat.
You just sweat it out.
It's a Russian steam house.
This originated in Europe, this form of banya, as they call it, bathhouse.
It's very intense heat.
Here we have nearly 15,000 pounds of hot rock that are heated every morning. When buckets of water are thrown onto those rocks, it can get the room up to 180, 190 degrees.
And because you're so hot in steam room, people jump in the cold pool.
They'll take breaks and jump into the cold plunge to relieve themselves from the heat. And that going back and forth is what essentially, we joke about it around here, it's the lazy man's cardio.
You have this opening of the pores, all this, everything's coming out, and then you close the pores, and you can sense that you're sweating out all these toxins. Honestly, I haven't been sick all year.
The Schwitz has been here since 1930. This is the last bathhouse that is in Detroit. But it survived because of the steam room that we have downstairs. And that steam room is not only the best in the city, but it's the best in the state of Michigan.
I think when you walk in the door of the Schwitz, you get a sense of history.
So legend has it that Capone spent time in this building. We know that Hoffa was here many times.
While the Purple Gang was here, at the same time politicians would come here.
The Purple Gang was responsible for probably about 80 to 90% of the booze coming into the country during Prohibition. They were notorious, they were tough, and this was essentially their clubhouse. This is where a lot of their business went down.
One of the reasons why they say the Purple Gang liked it here was because you could not wear a wire in the steam room.
Everything we're doing is sort of trying to honor the deep history of the place. Schwitz has always been about community and camaraderie and togetherness.
You relax, you spend around 3-4 hours here, and you're like a new man.
It's a place to really relax and to kind of refresh and rejuvenate one's spirit.
Clean you out physically, restore you mentally, clear your head, and restore you spiritually.
The place is both famous and infamous, and it is definitely a piece of Detroit history.
Hello, everyone. Come on, Detroit. Hello, everyone. Hi. That's better. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. It's lovely to see you all. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Nick, and this is Dan, and this is Josh. Has anyone been to this Schwitz before? A few hands, okay. Okay. For those of you that haven't, welcome. Okay, for those of you that have, welcome back. And the Schwitz is a place to relax, okay? So you're all going to relax together. So get comfortable in your seat, any last, things, scarves you want to take off, jackets you want to take off. And we're all going to breathe together, okay? So let's breathe in and out. Very nice. And in and out. Lovely. And in and out. And one more time. And in. And out. Don't stop breathing, whatever you do. This is the Schwitz, the Canning Town Schwitz in East London. The floors are covered in tiles. The walls are covered in tiles, and the ceiling is covered in tiles. If you look, all of the tiles are white and green with dirt wedged between the grouting. Over there is a shower, because you've got to have a shower before you schmeiss, okay? And back there are the steam rooms, and they go up in temperature, and that is where you schmeiss. I use the hottest one. We are surrounded by white plastic garden furniture and a marble bench. Back there is the dry steam, the saunas, but that's not for me, that's for the Russians. Thank you. Now, in case you get too hot, over there is the plunge pool. Now, upstairs there's a cafe, you can get a bite to eat, and there's sofas which you can recline on and watch the football. Now back here, if you come along, you get your own locker. And whilst we sit around in the steam, we eat fruits. Like pineapple, melon, oranges, and bananas. Fruit. This is the Canning Town Schwitz, a place to get your mind cleansed and your bumhole clean. Now you might be wondering why me, a young man of 29, is here in the Schwitz, a place usually reserved for altarcuckers, old men. Well, I'll tell you. I speak to my Papa Alan about 3 times a week on the telephone. He'd like to have it more, but I try to limit it. And my Papa Alan is short, round, and his mince pies are going, okay? That means he's going blind. But he has a talent. No matter what road he's on in London, he can tell you what's on that road, what's around that road, and how to get from that road to any other road in London. If it wasn't for his minces, he'd probably be a cab driver. And he grew up in Dalston, in East London, when it used to be a very Jewish area. And when we're on the phone, that's what we talk about. We talk about the bagel shops that are gone, and the salt beef gaffs, and the businesses, and the markets. And funny, he never seems to know where the synagogues were. But one place he talks about with real reverence is the Schwitz. But as he explains, most of them are shit now. Mile Baths, that's shit now. Ironmonger Road, that's shit now. You're cool, that's shit now. But there is one proper Schwitz left in East London, and that is here, the Canning Town Schwitz. And one day, I'm on the phone to him. Hello? Hello? And he goes to me, I'm going to the Schwitz tomorrow. I said, you're not? He said, I am. And I thought, this is it. This is the moment where I get to go to the Schwitz for the first time ever with my Papa Alan. So I said to him, well, I'm coming with you then. And there was silence on the other end of the phone. I said, hello. He said, hello. I said, I'm coming with you. He says, no, you're fucking not. I said, yes, I am. He goes, fuck me. I said, I won't do that. But I will come with you. He goes, fine. Come over to mine, stay the night, and in the morning we'll go. So, I made my way over to the promised lands. Northwest London. And I stayed the night. In the morning, he hands me this robe and this wrap, and we wait to be picked up. And then we hear a honk from the end of the drive. I slap my Papa Alan out to the end of the drive, and there is a pristine white Mercedes. And sat behind the steering wheel with both hands on it and spiked up hair is the famous Eddie Bloom, who gives the best Schmeisis in London. I put my Papa Alan in the front and I jumped in the back. Eddie turns round and says, watch the carpet, just had it cleaned. And we're off. Now, before we leave the land of honey of northwest London, we have another pickup to make. Now, Eddie hardly says a word the entire drive, but one thing he does say is, we've got to pick up the lump of Lokshan. Now, if you know what Lokshan is, could you shout it out now? Does anyone know what Lokshan is? Noodles. Yeah, that's it, noodles. It's noodles. You have any chicken and noodle soup, you make a Lokshan pudding out of it, kugel. Now, I like Lokshan, but I've never heard anyone described as a lump of Lokshan before. So I was curious. We pull up outside a bungalow in Edgware, and Eddie once again honks the horn. And we look towards the house. And as we look towards the house, the door slowly opens. And as the door slowly opens, it reveals the tallest Jew I've ever seen in my life. Could have been 7 foot. And as he walks towards the car, with his long arms, his long legs, and his pot belly, the only words I can use to describe him are a lump of Lokshan. He opens the car door next to me, and there is Norman. And as he looks down at me, he says, "Who the fuck is this?" And then my Papa Alan turns round and says, "That's my grandson, that's my boy." And then Norman gets in the car seat next to me, and he starts asking me questions. He's asking me question after 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 question. Hello, sir. What's your name, sir? Peter. Where'd you come from, Peter?
Ann Arbor.
How'd you get today, Peter?
Car.
Car? Where'd you drive? From? 2. I don't know what I'm saying. Freeway, highway? What do you use?
Highway.
Highway, lovely. What kind of car you got, Peter?
Minivan.
Minivan. Automatic, manual?
Automatic.
Lovely, good for you. Now, where'd you get your shoes from? Were they trainers?
Yes.
Did you run?
Yes.
How far?
4 miles.
How fast?
6.5 minutes.
Good for you. Now, Peter, where'd you get your hair cut last?
When?
When? Yeah, when?
A couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago. It looks lovely. Thank you very much. Remember, round of applause for Peter. And this questioning went on for a very long period of time. And as Peter could probably vouch for, felt a bit like an interrogation. But after a while, I had to block out these questions. I couldn't listen to these questions anymore. Because what I suddenly realised was that within the hour, these three men were going to see me completely naked. And my Papa Alan had never seen me naked. My Papa Alan had never seen my schmackle. But then I thought, maybe it's going to be okay, you know, because what with his minces, he wasn't going to see a thing. Especially not the schmackle. And you know, the other two men, but down there there's going to be a lot of steam, yeah? So that might hide me. But then I thought about all the other men down there. They were all going to see me naked for a prolonged period of time. But then I thought, actually, you know what? It's going to be okay. Because we've all been through the same thing. You know, when you're 8 days old, you invite your whole family over. You put out a big spread. And you watch the end of a baby schmackle be cut off. So at least we've all got the same schmackles. But there was a time when I thought my schmackle was different to other schmackles. I'm 6 years old and I'm at primary school. And at my primary school we've got those long tin silver urinals. You know what I'm talking about? Those long, they look like trough silver urinals. And at the bottom of these urinals are these little orange urinal cakes that are just there to freshen up the gaff. And I'm there, I'm 6 years old, and I'm taking a pish. And as I'm pishing, I see the cake moves a bit. So, I pish the cake up. And I pish the cake back down. And I pish the cake back up. And I pish the cake back down. And just as I'm about to go on my third rotation, I hear the door go. I turn, I look, I see ginger hair and freckles. It's a boy in my class, Dudley Gabriel. And Dudley comes and plonks himself right there. He doesn't know the code. Even at 6 years old, I knew the code. That when you're having a piss, you leave at least one gap between you and the person next to you. But Dudley Gabriel, bold as brass, comes and plonks himself right there. So now the pair of us are pissing, standing right next to each other. And you know, I'm 6 years old. I'm curious. I've been to Spain. But other than that, I've barely been outside of Woodford Green. I think I'm going to have a little look. I'm going to see what Dudley's got. So I can talk myself round and I have a little peek. Sorry. And I realise there's something going on here. Dudley's got something different going on. So I decide to go in for a closer look. By this point, I've finished pishing, so I'm just holding my schmackle staring at his. Dudley eventually finishes, puts himself away, and he goes off, and I do the same. But I go back to class, and all I can think about is Dudley Gabriel's schmackle. Dudley has got something extra on the end of his. It looks like he's got a piece of bacon wrapped around the end of it. I get in the car on the way home, I'm thinking about Dudley Gabriel's schmackle. I get in the house, I'm thinking about Dudley Gabriel's schmackle, and then I say to my mum, Mum, what's wrong with me? She goes, would you want a list? I said, no, with my schmackle. What makes my schmackle so different from all other schmackles? She goes, ah. You'll thank me when you're older. It's cleaner. And girls prefer it. And apparently, I signed a contract before I could hold a pen. We're back in the car, and now we've hit the North Circular. Now, the North Circular is a road in London that goes from northwest London to northeast London. It was basically built so Jews could visit each other. And the North Circular is a very important road to these men. It's the road that separates where they live now to the land where they grew up. Where they live now to the land they couldn't wait to get away from. And where they live now to the land they schlap to twice a week to have a wash. Now, as soon as we hit the North Circ, we go past a turning. Now, if you go up that turning, you eventually get to the M25. But on this turning is a very important service station. And it's called South Mims. And South Mims is an important service station because twice a year it gets chock-a-block with Jewish parents dropping off their kids to go on to summer camps. And I was no exception to this. I'm 14. My mum, she drops me off. She grabs my jacket. She kisses me on the cheek. She says, Nick, Nicholas, Nicky, have a wonderful time. Enjoy yourself. But do yourself a favour. Get laid. I get onto the bus and I see a sea of children from northwest London and they're all singing this song. They're singing, we are FZY, we are FZY, we are FZY. That's the Federation of Zionist Youth. I find myself a seat next to someone who isn't singing. I see trainers, I see glasses, I see head in a handkerchief. I think he's hiding from the singing, but no, he's hiding a nosebleed. It's Eric Goldfarb. I sit myself down. The bus pulls off and parks up in the place where the camp is going to be. We're all taken into a great big hall, and I sit over here with all the other Jews from Essex. And then we wait to meet our leader. And then she walks into the room. Arms go out to reveal 10 chipolatas hanging off the end of her lappers. Her tightly wound black curls are blowing in the cheap air conditioning. And the mouth opens to reveal the shiniest set of braces I've ever seen in my life, with a piece of spinach hanging out of it, probably from her morning frittata. She says, my name is Stacy Pincus, and I will be your leader for the next 2 weeks. These will be the best 2 weeks of your life. Look around you. Come on, look around you. You have met your tribe. But before you go off and enjoy yourself, let's see who we've got here, shall we? Over here. Here they are. It's the intellectuals. It's the Jews from Hampstead. Hi, Hampstead. Hello, Hampstead. This side of the room, it's the religious ones. It's the one from Hendon. Give me a wave, Hendon. Hi, Hendon. Nice to see you, Hendon. This big section here, it's my home crowd, so I know they're going to be noisy. It's the Golders Green and Temple Fortune Massive. Hiya! Thank you. You did not disappoint. And sat all the way at the back there she is. She's come all the way from Manchester, but she's my cousin. So Hampstead boys, hands off. It's Linda Pincus. Give us a wave, Lind. Hi, Lind. Nice to see you, Lind. And of course we have the Essex Jews. So everyone, go off and enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you all later. Yalla! Later that night, I'm in my room with my roommate Eric Goldfarb, and I'm contemplating my escape. When I hear a knock at the door, I says to Eric, get the door. He says, you get the door. I says, get the door. He says, you get the door. I says, get the door. He says, you get the door. I says, get the door. He says, I said, okay, I'll get the door. I'm coming. I get to the door and I turn the knob a little bit. And as I turn the knob a little bit, the door is kicked in. I'm thrown backwards and I see a figure completely dressed in black, wearing a balaclava, holding what looks like a machine gun, shouting, out, Jew scum. I turn to Eric and he's quivering under his duvet, and I think to myself, I should have gone to Spain. But I have a closer look and I see that the machine gun is made out of plastic, and surrounding it are 5 chipolatas. Poking out the top of the balaclava is a tightly wound black curl, and shining in the moonlight is those braces. There, stood at my door, holding a plastic machine gun, shouting, out, Jew scum, it's Stacey Pincus. She frog marches me and Eric into the room where we all first met, and everyone else from the camp is in there, sat in their pyjamas. Stacey Pincus takes centre stage. You have all been taken hostage. You are on an aeroplane heading to Israel, and we have brought you here to Entebbe Airport in Uganda, and here you will remain until all our demands have been met. Out of row. In the 1970s, a plane full of Jews was heading to Israel, and they were taken hostage by Palestinian terrorists, and the IDF saved them. But one brave soldier lost his life. His name was Yonatan Netanyahu. I'm sat over here with all the other Jews from Essex, and I turn to Eric and I say, Netanyahu? That doesn't sound like a Jewish name. Eric is now hyperventilating. Where's my inhaler? And then Stacey Pincus picks out the machine gun, puts back on the balaclava, comes over to us, and she says, and you're the worst of all. Essex Jews. We're back in the car. And now we're stuck in traffic by that turn off for the M25. My Papa Alan turns to Eddie and he says, Eddie, you schmuck! We shouldn't have come this way. If we'd gone a different way, we wouldn't be stuck in traffic. Eddie's hands tighten around the steering wheel and he says nothing. And as I'm sitting there looking at the turning, it reminded me, as if I hadn't learnt my lesson the first time, when I was 15, I was back at South Mims, this time to go on a month-long trip to Israel. Once again, my mum drops me off, grabs my jacket, kisses me on the cheek and says, Nick, have a lovely time, but this time get laid. And now she slips a condom into my pocket. I get onto the bus and once again I see a sea of children from northwest London and they're singing, We are FZY, we are FZY, we are FZY. And this time Eric has learnt the words, he's singing along, and he's waving his inhaler in the air. I find myself a seat next to someone who isn't singing. I see espadrilles, powder blue shorts, and a Ralph Lauren shirt. I sit myself down. Hello. Oh, hello. I says, what's your name? He goes, my name is Christopher. I said, nice to meet you, Christopher. My name's Nick. What are you doing on this trip? Oh, well, my grandmother is a Jewish person, and she's about to die, and she wants me to see Israel before she goes. I said, lovely. My mum just wants me to get my leg over. But looking at this bus, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I offer him the condom. Do you want this? He goes, oh, she only gave you one for a month. She's realistic. The bus pulls off and we get to the airport and we go on the aeroplane, and before we know it, we're flying over Israel. And as we're flying over Israel, I see someone I recognise walking down the gangway. Arms go out to reveal the chipolatas. The tightly wound black curls are blowing in the aeroplane's air conditioning, and the mouth opens and the braces are gone and the teeth look fantastic. She says, my name is Stacy Pincus, and I am like Moses leading you to the promised land. Look out the window. Look out the window. You will see the land that was once nothing. We took that land and we built a something. We turned that dream into a reality. We land, we get onto a bus, and we're slapped out into the middle of the desert. Stacy Pincus bends down and picks up a handful of sand. See this sand? See this sand? This sand once covered this entire country. We took this sand and we built a country. We turned this dream into a reality. Next day, on the bus, taken into the middle of Tel Aviv, Stacy Pincus stands underneath the air conditioning of a shopping centre. Feel that air conditioning. Feel it. We brought air conditioning here. Before us, there was no air conditioning. We turned this dream into a reality. We walk out the shopping centre and we go past a cafe where there's some people eating. Stacy Pincus picked a pot of hummus off their table. See this hummus. See this hummus. We brought hummus here. Before us, there was no hummus. We turned this dream into a reality. It's the last day. And she goes, shh. We are now going to the place where it all started. The place where the dream was dreamt that became a reality. We are going to Yerushalayim. The bus pulls into the old city and we all sit in complete silence. We're filed off one by one, and I see it there in front of us, the Western Wall. And I see a sea of men in black hats and black coats, and they're davening. They're praying. And I go down to walk towards the wall, but Stacy Pincus puts her hand on my shoulder and she says, this is it, Nick. These are your peoples. This is your tribe. And I go to walk towards the wall. I manage to weave my way around, so I'm right at the front, and I don't know what to do. So I put one hand on the wall like this, and one hand like this, and I'm stood staring at the wall. And as I'm staring at the wall, I can hear a noise coming from next to me. It sounds like a whimpering, a crying. I turn and I look, and it's Eric Goldfarb, and he's crying, and he can't stop. But then I feel something coming down my cheek, and I realise that I'm crying, I'm weeping, and I can't stop. And I stand and stare at the wall. After a while, we're all ushered away from the wall. And we all stand in a big circle, holding hands. I look around and I see that nearly everyone has been crying. But there is one person who isn't crying. It's Stacey Pincus. She said, "Fee! I told you this would happen. You've all now dreamt the dream that has become a reality. Let's sing a song. Any suggestions?" I look round the circle and now nearly everyone's faces is looking at the ground. But then I look across from me and I see the espadrilles, the powder blue shorts and the Ralph Lauren shirt, and it's Christopher. And he hasn't been crying. He's smiling. And he says, "Oh yes, I've got a song we can sing. Let's sing Consider Yourself. You know, consider yourself at home. Consider yourself, part the family. Come on, Stacey, consider yourself. Do, do, do." Now Stacey Pincus is staring at him, giving him complete evils. And she says a word. She says the rudest possible word for non-Jew. She says, "Yuck." We're back in the car. And now we've moved out of the traffic and we're driving around the North Cirque. And we're about to go past a turning. Now, if you go down that turning, you get to Tottenham. And Tottenham is where White Hart Lane is, which is where the soccer team, Tottenham Hotspur, play. And from the day I was born, I was destined to be a Tottenham Hotspur fan. And when I was 5 years old, it was going to be my first match. And I was excited. I'm in my room wearing my brand new jersey that I got bought from JD Sports in Enfield the weekend before. And I can't wait. And then I hear my dad say from downstairs, "Nick, come on, we're going now." My mum says, "What you going now for? The game don't start for an hour and it only takes 20 minutes to get there." He says, "I don't care, not getting stuck in traffic, we're going now." In the car, BBC radio on, we're off. We park up in a children's playground that they rent out for a car park on match days. I open the door, I see a hopscotch. 1, 2, 3, I've done it, and we're off, walking towards the stadium. On the way there, I see someone selling hot dogs. Dad, can I have a hot dog?" He goes, "No. They're crap." I said, "Okay, they're crap." We get a bit closer, I see someone selling scarves. Dad, can I have a scarf?" He goes, "No, they're crap." I said, "Okay, they're crap." We get closer to the stadium and I see it there in front of us. And then I see a police horse and it does a massive shit on the floor. And then we go into the stadium, I see someone selling programmes. "Dad, can I have a programme?" He goes, "No, they're crap." I said, "Okay, they're crap." We go up the stairs and I see the green football pitch in front of us. And I look around and I see a sea of empty blue plastic chairs. I look at the clock. We're 40 minutes early. We take our seats. And whilst we're sitting there, people start arriving. friends, families and fans, and they all start crowding out the seats around us, and they all start singing, and the atmosphere starts growing, and then all the players come on the pitch, and then the referee comes on the pitch, and the referee puts down his ball, and the referee blows his whistle, and from behind me there is a collective groan. He kicks the ball to him, to him, to him, and I'm bored. Look at the clock, 5 minutes. To him, to him, to him, 6 minutes. I look around for something to entertain me. I see that the symbol is a chicken sat on a beach ball. That's quite good. 6.5 minutes. To him, to him, to him. Now still, I feel my eyes start going. I'm starting to fall asleep. To him. I mustn't fall asleep, I'm here with my dad. To him, to him, to him. And just as I'm about to nod off, I hear this noise. Boom, 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 boom. Yes! What the hell is that? And then it goes again. Boom, 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 boom. Yes! I said, Dad, Dad. He goes, what? I said, Dad. He goes, what? I said, Dad. He goes, what? I said, Dad. What's a yid? He goes, a what? A yid, Dad. What's a yid? He goes, a yid? You know, a Tottenham fan. He goes, me, I'm a yid. You're a yid. Everyone over here, we're yids. Over there, yids. In front of us, yids. Down there on the pitch in the white jerseys, look, yid, yid, yid. He's a yid, always will be. Sol Campbell. Now that's a very funny soccer joke. Google it. Down there, the ones at the bottom, they're yids. But the ones at the top in the black and white jerseys, the fat ones with their tops off singing, they're not yids. They're Geordies. That means they're from Newcastle. Don't bother Googling that. I said, oh, I'm a yid. Half time comes, I want a snack, not allowed one. They're crap too. Second half starts, 20 minutes in, the score's 0-0, Dad wants to go, doesn't want to get stuck in traffic. In the car, BBC radio on, 92nd minute, Spurs have scored, winning 1-0. I think, great, that'll make Dad happy. He goes, fuck, I missed it. Sounds crap anyway. Get back to the house, Mum says to Dad, did you have a nice time? He goes, nah, it's crap. She goes, Nick, did you enjoy yourself? And I thought to myself, why do these men do it? Why do they go to this place to be miserable? They don't buy scarves. They don't buy hot dogs, programmes or snacks, and they're not even happy when they win. I says to my mum, I don't think I want to be a yid. She goes, nothing will make me happier than telling your dad that. You won't meet a nice girl there anyway. We're back in the car, and we've gone past that turning for Tottenham. Now, if you go down that turning, you go through Tottenham, and then you go through Stamford Hill, which is where the Hasids live, okay, the Frummers, who are either in Shul, coming out of Shul, going to Shul, something to do with Shul. And then you cut through Clapton, and you could cut into Newham that way, but instead, Eddie keeps going around the North Cirque. My Papa Allen says to Eddie, Eddie, you schmuck, we should have gone down there, it would have been quicker. Eddie's hands tight around the steering wheel, and he says, shut up, Alan. And he does. And we keep going around the North Cirque. And we go past Woodford, which is where I'm from. And we go past Ilford and Gants Hill, which is where my dad's from. And then we eventually come up into East London. And as soon as we come up into East London, the atmosphere of the car suddenly changes. Eddie starts talking. Norman stops asking me questions, and it's almost as if me Papa Allen's minces start working, as they start recognising every single street corner. That's where that one had a business that went kaput. That's where that one had an argument with that one, and it's still a broigus. Yeah, and that's where that one met that one, and they are still stupid. And I'm there, desperately trying to see all these different places, but I've got to tell you, it looks completely different to me as it does to them. And then we pull up in an industrial estate in Canning Town. I look out the window. I see a blue sign, and in white letters it reads, the New Dockland Steam Club. The Canning Town Schwitz. I get out the car, pull my Papa Allen out the front and slam the door. Eddie says, watch the paintwork, and we make our way into the Schwitz. And the first room we hit is the locker room. And as soon as we hit the locker room, what I suddenly realise is not only are these men going to see me naked, I'm going to see them naked. And I have never seen my Papa Allen naked. So I turn to my locker and I prepare myself for the vision. I turn and I look, and I see that the three of them have already got their robes and their wraps on, and they're ready to go. My Papa Allen says, Nicky, are you ready? Come on. Norman says, he ain't ready. Why isn't he ready? What's wrong with him? I said, I'll meet you down there. I wait for them to go and the coast to be clear, and I put on this robe and this wrap. And I start to make my way towards the stairs that lead down into the Schwitz. I hear my Papa Allen from halfway down the stairs say, Nicky, this way! And he goes down. And I follow. And as I follow, I can hear the showers hitting the tiled floors. I get a bit closer and I can hear the men. And they're all shouting at each other. They're all rucking. Some of them are rucking about Spurs. Some of them are rucking about the do that one was invited to and one wasn't. And some of them are laughing and singing songs and telling jokes. And then I get down there and I see it. I see a scene of pink, hairy, wrinkly, sweaty, naked flesh. And I realise the song completely stood. And all eyes are on me. And then I hear a voice from the corner of the room. And it shouts, who the fuck is that? And then my Papa Allen says, that's my grandson. That's my boy. And I notice one big difference between me and all of them. They've all got their robes off. So, I have to take mine off too. And from that minute, I'm Blind Allen's boy. Everyone wants to know me. Everyone wants to talk to me. Everyone's trying to suss me out. Everyone wants me to sit next to them. But Papa Allen grabs my wrist and sits me next to him and the other two pilgrims from our journey. And as I sit there with them, the three of them open up their wraps to reveal themselves. And there they are, in all their glory. Eddie Bloom, with the spiked up hair, who looks remarkably good for a 75-year-old. My Papa Allen, who wasn't going to see my schmackle because of his minces, I wasn't going to see his because of his great big belly. And Norman, the lump of Loxton, who has a piece of Lokshan and 2 Canadalach. And me. I crossed my legs. I wasn't ready yet to reveal myself. Now as I sit there thinking about a journey that ended where the North Circular hits the River Thames, it reminded me there's another world out there. The wilderness. A world where no London Jew should go. Where no London Jew is now. And where no London Jew will ever go again. And it's called South of the River. But I went there. And not only did I go there, I lived there. I know. And when I lived there, I needed my hair cut, believe it or not. And I was walking down Deptford High Street. Now, at the bottom of the Deptford High Street is a lovely looking old-fashioned barber shop. And I went in and it was lovely. It was called Chaplin's. I went in and it had lovely clean floor without a hair on it. Proper leather barber seats, lovely big mirrors, those cylinders of blue liquid. And most importantly, a cutthroat razor. I never go to a barber's unless they have a cutthroat razor. It means they do a proper job. I went in and I said to the geezer, can you fit me in? He says, did you book? I look and the place is completely empty. I said, no, can you fit me in? He goes, certainly, sir, come and take a seat. And I sit down and he starts shaving my head. He goes, you all right, sir? I said, yeah, I'm fine, thanks. He goes, here, sir, haven't you noticed how London's changing? I said, yeah, London's changing. He goes, sir, here, did you see them buildings out there? I said, no. He says, did you see them? I said, no. He goes, here, have a look. Did you see them? I said, yeah, I saw them. He goes, go on, have a look. See them? I said, I saw them. He goes, do you know who owns them buildings, sir? I said, no. He says, do you know who owns all them buildings, sir? I said, no. He says, do you know why? I said, I don't know who owns them. He says, they own all them buildings, sir, but you never see them come around here. Do you know why, sir? I said, I don't know who owns them. He says, you never see them come around here, sir. You know why? Because they're scared to come around here, sir. I said, who are you talking about? He goes, they own all them buildings, sir, but you know what? You never see them come around here, sir, because they're scared to come around here, sir. I said, who are you talking about? He goes, they own all them buildings, sir, but you never see them come around here, sir, because they're scared to come around here, sir. I said, who are you talking about? They own all them buildings, sir, but you never see them come round here, sir, because they're scared to come round here, sir. I said, who are you talking about? He goes, the Jews. They own all them buildings, sir, but you never see them come round here, sir, because they're scared to come round here, sir. I said to him, that's funny. He goes, why is that so funny? I said, that's funny. He goes, why is that so funny? I said, that's funny. He says, why is that so funny? Then I said to him, because I'm one of them. And then he puts down the clippers, he goes completely stum, and he picks up the cutthroat razor. And he just takes it, completely stum, and shaves around my ear, like that. Does he have that? I said, lovely. And I gave him a generous tip, and I left. We're back in the Schwitz, and men are going into the Schmeiss room completely white and coming out pink like a cooked lobster. Every so often, a sweaty head comes out of the Schmeiss room and says something like, "Will someone come and finish manning off?" and goes back in. Now the Schmeiss is the main ritual of the Schwitz. It is the piece de la resistance, and with any ritual there are commandments. And as I sat there with the three men, they bestowed the commandments upon me. Number 1, wear flip-flops. Do not spread verrucas. Number 2, if you're going to sit with your bare arse out, you put down a wrap. You don't want your tuchus being where anyone else's has been. Number 3, you never complain about the heat of the Schmeiss. It's probably the most broken rule of the Schwitz. Number 4, we all work. We all Schmeiss each other. Do not be a Schmeiss ponce. Number 5, you wait your turn. And number 6, when you're having a Schmeiss, you have to be naked. And it was almost my turn. So of course, I had to get naked. But before that, as I sat there with the men, I realised I was about to be inaugurated into my tribe. And it reminded me of a time when I was completely tribeless in the wilderness of South London, when I was at my loneliest. I'm walking down the Old Kent Road. It's 3 in the morning and I'm drunk. And then a figure comes out of nowhere and does this to me. I didn't know what to do. I'd never been accosted in such a manner before. Just this. I'll do it one more time over here. This. So I did the only thing I thought I should do. The only thing I thought I could do. I grabbed his hand. Like that. And as I grabbed his hand, he said, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" He said, "Oh my God." I said, "What?" He says, "No white man has ever grabbed my hand like that before." I said, "You're joking." He said, "No." He said, "You must be a Jew or a Muslim or something." I said, "Well, yeah, I'm Jewish." And then he goes, "Oh my God." I said, "What now?" He says, "You're the first Jew I've ever met." I said, "You're joking." He said, "Nope." And then he put his arm around me and he started to march me down the Old Kent Road. He's saying to people, "This is my Jewish friend. This is my Jewish friend. This is my Jewish friend." And I'm there shaking everyone's hands. "Hello, nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Nice to have you." And after I've met about 80% of the population of the Old Kent Road, we find ourselves outside this club. Now this club is packed and it's pumping out Afrobeats music. Afrobeats music. He points at the club and he says, "You are my guest in here tonight." I look at the club, it's 3:30 in the morning. I says to him, "I'm going to bed." He says, "I like you. You're a serious man." So I says to him, "What's your name?" He says, "I will never tell you my name." I said, "Go on, tell us your name." He said, "I will never tell you my name." I said, "Go on, tell me your name." He says, "I will never tell you my name." I said, "Go on." He goes, "Okay." And he rolls up his sleeve. And tattooed on his arm is the word posh. And he says, "My name is Posh because everyone listens to me. I said, nice to meet you, Posh, my name's Nick. And then he pulls out a business card and he says to me, we're going to make a lot of money together. I take the card and it says, Posh, hairstylist. I says, thank you very much. And I walk off. And as I'm walking off, he goes, hold on a minute, come back, I've got a question. I said, okay. He goes, come back here, I've got a question for you. I said, I'm coming. He goes, let me ask you a question. What is wrong with you Jews? I said, what? He goes, you Jews, huh? What's wrong with you Jews? What you causing so many problems for? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you Jews, huh? Why are you causing so many problems? I said, what are you talking about? Who are you talking about? What Jews are you talking about? Are you talking about the Hampstead Jews? Are they the Jews you mean? Maybe you're talking about the ones from Hendon. Are they the Jews you mean, Posh? Or the ones from Temple Fortune and Golders Green? Or the Essex Jews? Are they the Jews you mean? Maybe you mean the Yids down in White Hart Lane. Are they the ones you mean? Or the property developers? Are they the Jews you mean, Posh? Huh? Are they the ones you mean? I mean, do you mean David Beckham? He had a Jewish grandparent. Or Woody Allen? Do you mean Woody Allen? Are you talking about Woody Allen? Is Woody Allen causing you problems, Posh? I mean, you don't mean me, do you? Do you mean me? And he says, you Jews, what you causing so many problems for? So I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're back in the Schwitz. And now it's time for my Schmeiss. Just on time. Now it's time for my Schmeiss. Who's there? And now it's time for my Schmeiss. And of course, for my Schmeiss, I have to be naked. What do you expect for $40? I mean, have you seen the exchange rate? And as I walked into the Schmeiss room, Norman said to me, Nick, you don't have to wait for your granddad. You can come on your own. And then Eddie said the nicest thing he's ever said to me. And the nicest thing he will ever say to me. He says, yeah, and don't worry, boy. We've all got tiny cocks. Okay, it's now time for my Schmeiss. Boys, some Schmeiss music, please. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. First thing, we're going to move this bench forward, okay? Just like, all the way there. Lovely. And come and stand behind here, Eli. All right. Now, Eli, have you ever given a Schmeiss before? No. You're going to be fantastic, I can tell. I'm going to give you everything you need, okay? Now, Eli, what you're going to schmeiss me with. Eli, this is a basin. Basin is Yiddish for mop. Okay, here you go, Eli. Just hold that above the, just hold it above the people now. And Eli, this is a bar of soap. Also very important for the schmeiss. Now, Eli, here you go. Now, what's going to happen, Eli, is I'm going to lay on the bench. Okay. You're going to get the soap, you rub me up and down with the soap, and whilst you're doing that with the other hand, you scrub with the brush. Okay. Okay?
All right.
How'd you feel?
Excellent.
Right. Eddie grabbed my wrap, wet it, and put it over my head, and I lay on the table. And as I lay on the table, my Papa Alan started to schmeiss me. Go for it, Eli. And as he schmeissed me, he says the words I never thought my granddad would say as I lay completely naked. He says, roll over. And I do. And then he schmeises the front. Please give a big round of applause to Eli! You really got me there. Hold on. Eli. After my schmeiss, I found a nice quiet place to sit on my own. And I felt so nice, so clean. I'd just been inaugurated into an age-old tradition brought over from Eastern Europe, and I felt part of something. I was sat there with all these fat, hairy, sweaty, naked, shouting men, and I didn't give a monkey's anymore. I felt at home, more at home than I ever felt going to synagogue, more at home than I ever felt at Spurs, more at home than I ever felt going to Israel. I was at home. Now, after your schmeiss, it's customary to have something to eat. And I've bought you all some oranges to have on your way out. But when I went to the Schwitz, the oranges didn't quite cut it for me. So I got the men to drop me off at the only place worth eating in East London. And that is the Bagel shop at the end of Brick Lane. Do people know this shop? Anyone? Okay. Well, if you ever come to London, it should be your first stop. Okay? Heathrow, then the Bagel shop. And you'll notice how I say bagel and not bagel. And I'm very militant about this. The reason being is the Jews that first brought the bread with a hole, or the hole surrounded by bread, to London, they were from Poland. And their way of saying it was bagel. The ones that came here to America, they were from Germany, and their way of saying it was bagel. Exactly. So we should say bagel. You can say bagel. You know what? You can say bagel if you like. And I went into the bagel shop and I was going to order my usual. Now my usual is a chopped herring with pickle and a cream cheese with pickle. The pickle is 20p extra. I think it's worth it. And in front of me in the queue was a city boy. Now a city boy is basically like the people who work in Wall Street, okay? And he's there looking at the sign and he goes, oh, yeah. Give me one of those salt beef bagels. No mustard. What's the point? I don't say anything. He gets his bagel and he leaves, and I buy my bagels and I leave too. But as I walk out there, I see him leant on the bin, stuffing his face with his salt beef bagel. So I think to myself, I've got to say something. So I go up to him and I say, excuse me. He goes, yeah. I said to him, that's a bagel. And when you ordered it, you said bagel. He goes, what? I said, it's a bagel. He says, whatever. I said, no, not whatever. It's a bagel. And you should call it a bagel because if we stop saying bagel, then that specific Jewish East London voice will be gone and lost and dead forever. He says, I don't care. I said, no, not I don't care, it's a bagel. He says, leave me alone. I said, no, not leave me alone, it's a bagel. It's a bagel, 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 bagel. And then a homeless woman comes up to me. She says to me, I've lived here my whole life, and it's a bagel. And she puts her arm around me, and now the pair of us are going, bagel, bagel, bagel. And then the Irish woman that works in the shop, she comes out and she says, yeah, I'm sick of people calling them bagels, they're bagels. And now the three of us are going, bagel, bagel. And then all the Bangladeshi boys that sell curry down Brick Lane, they run up and they join in. And then I see a herd of hipsters run round from Shoreditch High Street Station and they join in, going, bagel, bagel, bagel. And then I see Dick Van Dyke, Mary Poppins, Oliver Twist and the Spice Girls, and they're all going, bagel, bagel. And then an old-fashioned Rolls Royce parks up down the end of Brick Lane. The doors swing open, and out come the Cray twins and their old mum, and we're all going, bagel, bagel. And then I see a chorus line of chimney sweeps, women selling oranges, girls selling matchboxes, costermongers, and a plethora of pearly kings and queens. And they're all going, bagel, 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 bagel. Bagel, 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 bagel. After a while, I realised it was just me. Oh, and the homeless woman. Eventually, the city boy walks off, and I go to do the same. But then she goes, oi, bagel. I said, yeah. She goes, bagel. I said, yeah. She says, I stuck up for you then. The least you can do is buy me a bagel. I said, of course. Where are my manners? And I give her a £2 coin. And then she says, let bagels be bagels. After that, I started to walk down Brick Lane, and I'm eating my bagels. And I think to myself, one day, am I going to be the only person calling them bagels? And then I think about the Schwitz. I mean, these are old men. In 20, 30 years' time, who's going to be Schmeisis? think to myself, and who am I going to give their first Schmeisis to? Let me know if you want it to be you. And for fulfilling my dream of getting a room full of Americans to shout Beigel. It made me a happy man today. And thank you very much to the Schwitz for hosting us and for UMS for bringing us over. Thank you very much. Now, we are here. We're here until Sunday, so if you liked it, tell your friends. If you didn't like it, you can tell your enemies. And on sale today, we have limited edition tea towel. Yeah, round of applause, must like it. And they'll be available upstairs. And now, I believe we have a Q&A, which will start in a few minutes. So if you want to stick around, please do. And if you don't, I won't be offended. Oh, and there are also CDs for sale. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do y'all want to pull up to the front? Oh yeah, please. You can get closer, it's okay.
Yeah.
Nick doesn't bite hard. Right, that old joke. Hi everyone, I'm Jim from UMS. It's nice to see you all here at the Schwitz. I never could say I would imagine myself here in the Schwitz doing a show. But it's really awesome, and so many wonderful things happened tonight. Like we got here and there was free wine and klezmer music and then this amazing performance. So let's give Nick another round of applause. Wow, what do you think about this place?
This place is incredible. It's totally incredible. I love it so much. And I can't believe I've had to come all the way to Detroit to perform in the Schwitz. First Schwitz I performed in, and this place is just wonderful. I absolutely love it. I was here on Thursday night getting Schmeisis in there, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it stack up to the place that you described for us in the show?
I mean, I feel bad saying it, but I mean, the place I go to is very small.
Yeah.
And it's kind of new. It's only 25 years old because they built it because all the other Schwitzes were becoming
shit now.
Yeah, shit now. Gentrified and like made into posh bars. So then a load of people just set up a new one in Canning Town, and so it's not got the same history as this, but it's my special place.
Have you wanted to do it in an actual bathhouse?
For sure. Yeah. I made this show so I could perform it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like whether that's in a pub or outside, wherever. And I've only done it in theatres so far. I've done it once in a living room and in theatres, but it's been it's been great doing it here. I mean, this is only our first show.
Yeah.
So far so good.
So far so good. Good.
Yeah.
So. And just sort of thinking about like what was the kernel that got this show going in your mind? Like what was that first?
I think it was going to the Schwitz.
Yeah.
And going and realising like this was a place, because there's all these attempts of like trying to find a tangible Jewish identity in London, and East London, which I grew up in Essex, which is like East London suburb, so it's very close to East London, which is where all the Jews first landed when they got to London in the late 1800s, and it was sustained to be a Jewish area until like the 30s, and then during the Blitz, all the kind of Jews moved out. I've got this constant history of people going, you know, that's the Jewish East End, that's the Jewish East End, and you go on these tours of the Jewish East End and you stood outside a carpet shop saying, this used to be Yiddish theatre. That's like, well, it's not there anymore. So it was always like this searching for something that was still there. And then my granddad was always talked about the Schwitz. And then one day he invited me to go, and I thought, and then I got there and I was like, okay, this is the show now. And all the stories I tell in the show, I've been telling for years, around dinner tables, at pubs, at cafes, and then it all just kind of made sense after going to the Schwitz. Yeah.
What is the? I sort of. It's interesting because you talk about there's this whole kind of litany of like the Jews from this part of town and the Jews from that part of town, and I was wondering, just like for the American audience, if we were from London, would we know what you were can you decipher that a little bit for us?
How to explain? So there's a kind of character of all the different areas where the different types of Jews live, and it's kind of, the idea I was trying to build is like there's different tribes, there are different Jewish tribes, and everyone has their tribe that they're part of. The Essex Jewish tribe, which is one I grew up into, it's always like growing up, we were always looked down upon by the Northwest Londoners, because they're the ones who have seemed to be more affluent. So it's like, in Essex, they were traditionally, the people that went kind of east outwards, maybe there were tailors that then became cab drivers and then bankers and that kind of work. Whereas the ones that went northwest, especially in Hampstead are the intellect. So the writers, the psychiatrists, the academics, okay, that kind of Jewish person. And then in Hendon, then they're the religious ones, the bake, they all have the kosher shops and the bake and all this. So it's like each different, and I'm sure in Detroit you have the different Jewish tribes, and in New York they have their different Jewish tribes that kind of live in each different area. But I think it's also the same in lots of different communities that have their different types within it. I'm trying to think of like famous people from different tribes that you might know. I can't.
That's okay.
The writer Will Self? No, he's an English writer. Yeah. So he's like very much Hampstead, like the intellect. Yeah, I can't think of any Jewish Londoners. Yeah. You might know, but yeah.
But
so
that's helpful.
yeah, that makes sense. And then there's Stamford Hill, which is completely Hasidic. So it's like different areas. So yeah. Okay. So maybe even religious terms, it's like Stamford Hill, Hasidic; Hendon, modern Orthodox; Hampstead, intellectual atheists; Essex, who has time for religion. Yeah. There's that kind of helps a bit more. Yes.
And speaking of tribes, there's actually like a live stream party happening at the Jewish Community Center in Ann Arbor. So you should say hi to them on the cameras if anyone's still there in Ann Arbor watching. All right, how about some questions from all of you? Just raise a hand and shout it out.
Are you in the theater usually, or do you have another way of entertaining yourself?
And or making money.
Lots of ways of entertaining myself.
Yeah, you're a theater maker.
But yeah, I work in the theatre mainly. Yeah, and I do I make shows like this, but then I also I started as a street performer, and then I make a lot of I run a community storytelling company that we do community projects in London, and it's all kind of based around storytelling. Everything I do.
How long have you been doing this?
6 years. Or this show, or in theatre.
The show and whatever.
The show about 2.5 years, and I've been working in theatre for 7 years.
So you started in London?
Yeah.
So this is your first time in the United States doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Here in
welcome.
little Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, go ahead.
Two quick questions. Are you cold?
No, you've warmed me up.
I mean, after the water and everything, I just thought it was a little chilly. And the second question is, were you trained as a dancer? Your hands I just kept being riveted by your hands and your hand movements.
Well, thank you. No, I'm not trained as a dancer. I guess that comes from doing this show so long, and also, yeah, me and my family, we all tell stories with our hands.
It's wonderful. Your hand movements were just wonderful.
Thank you, and I think they've developed whilst I've been doing the show, so I think they've become, the movements have become more precise as I've worked on the show.
It really does look like dance.
Oh, thank you.
Are the two musicians with you constantly? They're part of your group?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not with me constantly, I'd have a
They just follow you around and animate all of your, every moment of your life.
It seems like that sometimes.
Yeah. There's a hand over here, yeah.
Does your show resonate differently with Jewish or non-Jewish audiences or mixed audiences?
Yeah, people laugh at different things.
How does it seem to work?
Yeah, it works, and people tend to, I always say, people say to me, if I'm going to a town, they go, oh, I didn't know there were any Jews there. And I say to them, well, you don't have to be an elf to enjoy Lord of the Rings, People understand stories and they understand storytelling, but yeah, you do, if you're in a mixed crowd, the ripples of laughter are different. So some people might get it first and they don't, and also there's a real kind of specific London vibe I have in it when I go to different parts of London and they really latch onto that bit. So yeah, different people take different things away, but yeah, it works in totally, and I really enjoy it sometimes when they're totally non-Jewish, like not a Jewish person in the house, because it means I just have to work that bit harder and read the audience in a different way to explain things slightly differently. So I reworked bits of the show before doing it to you guys to make it kind of there were some Londonisms and some Englishisms. I just thought there is no way. So I had to change bits and pieces, and I do the same depending on whatever crowd I'd be going in front of. Yeah.
What are some of the traditional storytelling techniques that you've worked into your structure of the play?
What are some of the traditional?
Repetition part of it?
Repetition, yeah, I use a lot of repetition. I think of storytelling in terms of access points. and where can I allow the audience in? So I think repetition's good because it's something people can latch on to. I use a lot of eye contact, the hands, all these things, and the thing I've used in this specifically was this journey around the North Circular. So that was like my structure of the story, and then all these little things, the offshoots and kind of reminiscing. So for me it's important to have a really good structure that the audience can grip onto, because then they know where they're at, and then you can take them anywhere and keep coming back to it. Yeah.
Is your setting more like this, where you got people in rows, or we're talking about a circle? How do they react? Like we were sitting here and we were all laughing. So I was just wondering.
Do you mean in the Schwitz or other times I do it?
Either one.
Yeah. In the Schwitz, we sit around, it would be in this area of our one, and there would be white plastic tables all over the place, and we'd be sat around tables. But I've done this show in lots of different ways. I've done it having audience members on stage with me, you know, lots of different ways of doing it. Yeah, and it works because it's kind of relaxed and you can let the audience in different ways. If that makes sense.
I'm just amazed. I'm from Detroit, and I never knew this. Like I told you, never knew this building was here, and it's fascinating. I think I'm gonna come back and take me a sauna or something.
You should. Well, I mean, I'm also just sort of interested in, here you are in Detroit, and there's a lot of stuff that people hear about Detroit that aren't from Michigan, and I wonder, like, how's it been, you know, been in Detroit for a couple of days, and like, what do you want to do while you're here, and like, what did you hear about us before you got here?
To be honest, I heard about Motown. I've always loved Motown, so that was it for me. That was okay, I'm going to the place where Motown started. Yeah. Other than that, I didn't really hear, I didn't come with any real preconceptions about what the town was going to be like. I'm always really excited to visit a new city and to see how it's made up in terms of different pockets of different cultures and different people that live in the city, and yeah, like, and coming here has been a real amazing thing, like to this building in particular, and being able to. So as soon as I got here yesterday, was it yesterday, Thursday? Yeah. In there with the Schmeisis, getting my brush out, and it was just like we're comparing the different brushes and how they get the different weights and the different techniques. And that was a really special moment, I mean, and to know that like from that shtetl, from the shtetls, go to different parts of the world and people are still acting out the same rituals, but in different ways, and that was a really exciting thing.
Are you going to go over in Canada?
Sorry?
Are you going to visit Canada since you're so close?
No, I'm not going to. I have family in Toronto, but I'm not going to go and see them.
Go to the Motown Museum.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow.
Good. Yeah. I see a hand back there. Is that Patty back there?
Yeah.
Please.
So, I mean, obviously the show is very funny, but one thing that maybe is a little bit more understated, I mean, there's really touching and at times sort of sad moments. There's a lot of nostalgia and like going to the Weeping Wall. There's a kind of, there's these really touching moments, and I guess what I'm wondering is, for you, in your storytelling, what do you feel like your specific story, but also the story of the Jewish people and Jewish identity, what are the lessons that we can still learn as a modern society from those things that you obviously feel like are being lost, and there's a sadness about that, in your own, within your own family and your own identity? What do you feel like are the things that we really, with all that we could hold on to, what are the things you think that we need to hold on to that can, I know it's vague, but like to me this place is so special because there's nothing else like it, and it's holding on. So in particular, what are the things about Jewish identity, but also the Schwitz itself and the routine that you think is so critical as a lesson for the wider culture?
So I think there's a few things there. I think the things that I'm most excited about, the things we need to hang on to most, are the things that make us different, the things that don't homogenise us as people. And I mean that in terms of as Jewish people, I feel like over the years we've been increasingly homogenised, but in general with kind of corporatisation and all of that, we're being homogenised, we're being sold the same things, we're made to do the same things. And the Schwitz is such an important place, I think, one, because it is so utterly Ashkenazi specific from Eastern Europe, and it is our ritual. And it's not, you know, it's not just for us. You go to the Schwitz in London and you've got Bangladeshis schmeissing, you've got African people schmeissing, you've got old school Londoners schmeissing, you've got Romany gypsies. So it's not about holding this is ours and no one else can have it, but having this thing which is that has that tradition and history, and at the same time everything's stripped back. That's what I love most about the Schwitz. It is everyone's naked, and we are washing each other. We have total contact, we have total connection in that moment. And someone said to me at the Schwitz in London, they said, you know what, Nick, parked up outside there might be Rolls Royces, cabs, small cars, you know, Mercedes Benz, but down here we're all the same, we're just naked men. And that's what really excites me about it, because when else in life do you sit with a group of people and are, you know, physically connecting in a way that is cleaning you? And people have been doing this for hundreds of years. And you see all the different other cultures also have their bathing techniques, like Turkish baths and the Russian baths and all these other people, and it's just, there's something really human about it, which I think is really exciting, yeah, and important to keep hold on to.
Yeah. Is the Stacy character based on a real person?
So Stacy is, so there's a few characters in the show that I call an amalgam. So it's an amalgamation of a few people. But Stacey Pincus is real, but what I love about that is in London every so often I have people coming up to me going, I know Stacey. Or they come up to me and go, that's my cousin. You know, I'm related to Stacey Pincus, so yeah, but yeah, she's based on real people, yeah.
Nick, I want to, do we have another one?
I guess I just have to say, you know, you feel the love and reverence for the bonding and the connecting that you have with male members. Is there a female equivalent?
So there is Women's Day on a Wednesday at my Schwitz, and Women's Day is what here, Paddy?
Sunday afternoon and Tuesday evening is what it is.
Yes, so there are Women's Days, but obviously I can't see what goes on there. Yeah.
The Schwitz has Women's Days, Men's Days, and co-ed days, bathing suit required. So it is a working, living place, and Patty back there is one of the owners, and I know that he wants you to come back and enjoy the space if you feel so inclined. Nick, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your Q&A, and thank you for showing up. And like Nick said, he's here till Sunday. Yeah. So send your friends or send your enemies. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Good night, everybody.
Right. Cheers. Thanks.